by fans, for fans, the Hog style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Hi, everybody. We are super excited for this guest. I'm sure all of our fans have already heard about this by now. Neardey Trinh, she is producing an upcoming feature about Sean Taylor, a feature film. It's going to be called The Safety. I'm assuming that's the title or the working title. We'll find that out in a moment from her. But right now, you as fans, you can actually donate to a funding campaign on Indiegogo for them to help get this film underway. So please welcome Neardey Trinh to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Well, I guess let's start with just the broad question. How did this film idea come about with you? And give us the origin story of the film itself.
Sure. So, I think I gave you a background one earlier. I'm a huge Redskins fan. I grew up in the D.C. area my entire life, and so I've been following the Redskins for a long time. But when Sean Taylor died, that year, 2007, and the following years after that, I used to go back and watch his highlights every year, all the time, and I'd be in tears, and it was so emotional. It was so, and I kept on, I did that all the time, constantly. And I told myself, how come they don't have nobody's done any story about him, and so the idea just kind of brewed in my mind, and I think it just kind of became kind of obsessed with it, somebody needs to tell a story about him, and so then I just said, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this yet, but I kind of reached out to Santana Moss on Instagram, and I don't know how long ago that was. I want to say it was it was 5 years after Sean had passed. So I think it was 6 years ago that I actually finally reached out. I was reaching out to him. He ignored me for about 4 years. And then 3 years ago, I think, I met him whenever he did his launch. It might have been 2 years ago for his foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I went there, and met him in person. And so I kind of just snuck in there. I'm like, hey, I'm a film producer, and I have this idea to do a story about Sean Taylor. And, of course, he's so busy with his stuff. He's like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. That sounds good. I was like, okay, here's my card. So went off on my way. That night, I kind of took a picture with him, tagged him, and then he liked the picture. I was like, oh, he responded. So I followed back up in the same email strand that I had sent him for 4 years and said, hey, I'm just following back up. It was nice meeting you in person, blah, blah, blah. And then he responded to me finally after 4 years of stalking him, I guess. And then I pitched the idea again, and he was like, no, it sounds really great. Here's my number. We'll just, talk about it. And he kind of introduced me to Pete, Sean's dad, and I kind of told him what my idea was about what I wanted to do, and I wanted to do a feature narrative. I didn't want to do documentary because there's been a lot of stuff they have already on a lot of athletes and stuff, and on him, and I wanted to do something different. I said I wanted to dig into his life and kind of show the fans and the people who love him who he was, and so that's how it kind of started.
And tell us
where we are now.
Yeah, and we're super excited about it. Obviously, we had his biographer on the show 2 years ago, Alex?
Yeah,
Steve Rosenberg, and he was great, and we've kind of kept up with him ever since. But talk to us a little bit about what you're funding right now, because I know the production's in the early stages. And so tell us a little bit about that effort.
So a lot of I'm an independent producer. I'm not a studio. I don't come with money. So a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is indie style, and the reason I do that is because I really want to keep the creative control under my
Sure.
in our control, and so everything that I have paid so far is I pay out of pocket. So we are in development, but it was enough to get the script started. So I did for the last 6-7 months. We crafted the script after spending a lot of time doing the research and the interviews and stuff like that. So now once we have a script, we're really ready to take it to bigger investors, like equity investors, but even to get it there, there's still a lot of little things that need to be done and get paid out and stuff like that. So I decided to launch an Indiegogo campaign, and I need a raise at a very minimum $20,000 by this Saturday. So I don't have much time, but I mean we're about halfway there, I think, and that'll cover us to at least move forward to for the next couple of weeks while I'm actually talking to investors who are very interested in the project, and we're lining up talent that we're trying to bring into the project and stuff like that. So that's where we are.
It's funny. Now I failed out of film school myself. I told Steve before the show the persistence that it takes to do this kind of work is why I quickly realized like being an actual filmmaker was not going to be for me, and just went into doing normal AV work and video production. So I got to give you credit. Like you've been working on this for 6 years. That's a lot of persistence to just get a couple feet indoors and keep pounding the pavement. That's really impressive.
Two questions.
It's a lot. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Sorry about that. I stepped on you. The media has reported that Fred Smoot's involved in this. What's Fred's involvement, and did you also reach out to Clinton Portis, who was another one of Sean's Miami Hurricane buddies?
Yeah. So it's a tough. It's tough. Sean is, he's close with very small amount of people, like he was enough. So, obviously, Santana was pretty close with him. Fred is pretty close with him, and Portis is so Portis is having a hard time. He's,
sure.
He's kind of stepping back, and I get it, and I respect that. It's a very, it's still sensitive, and it still stings for a lot of people. So I understand that. So I didn't really pursue or push him being involved if he's not comfortable with it, because this does dig really deep into, it's not just like an interview that you're going to talk about, a friend that he, loved so much. We really dig deep into his life. And, and I know that sometimes people are hesitant about whether it's going to be told right. And that's, I'm very dedicated to that and to keeping his story real, authentic, and really, making sure that we do leave the legacy that we want to, leave behind, that's true to him.
Right.
But yes, so Santana Moss, obviously he's the one who brought me Pete and kind of helped, drive the beginning of this. And Fred is another point. So Fred is great. Like he's really getting, like, I've given him the script. He's looking through the script. He's going to really help kind of craft some of the details of the stories. They'll kind of fill in with the writer and stuff as we kind of move forward with that. But we're still looking to identify another writer. I'm really building a writing team. It won't just be one person. But we'll have somebody that kind of leads it, and then we'll have people like Fred and obviously Pete and Santana, and then I have my film partner is she's actually a director. She graduated from film school, and we do all our projects together. So she'll help oversee the crafting of the story as well. So it's going to be a team of people.
Sure.
But that's sort of what the guys are.
Now, I mean, I'm imagining the script is still kind of in a draft stage. What kind of span of his life are we talking? Like childhood all the way through his untimely passing, or are we kind of not starting till college, or where do you see it starting?
No, we're starting when he's a kid.
Okay.
I mean, I think I want to say 8 years old.
Okay.
And he was Pop Warner age.
Okay. And so how far along do you feel like the script is at this point? You think you're about halfway there?
We're in first draft.
Oh, still in first draft.
But the great thing is that we have my first writer was my researcher, so he's really good at researching, and he was really good at putting the dialogue together.
Sure.
So he really crafted the scenes and everything. And if you being a filmmaker, you know that the script is never ready, even up to when you shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Everything can get changed. But there are parts and structures of the story that I want to dig deeper into, change, stuff like that. So that's, and I think that's what we'll be working on towards in pre-production once we get there.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody understands that this is what you're talking about here is a major film with a big budget, and what we're funding now was sort of the preliminaries. But to get there,
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of steps, and one of them is the NFL's involvement and the Redskins' involvement, if any. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So we haven't officially made any connection with the NFL. I mean, I've reached out to them, but because I need to lay the groundwork for many other things, and that's this week. It's like everything is a catch-22. Before I talk to them, I need to make sure I get this funding in.
Right.
Once I get this funding in, I need to get that next funding in. Once that gets secured, I kind of buy my time to do everything else, and then I will start focusing on the other little things. I'm building a team. It's definitely not a small project. I mean, I'm projecting it to be a $30 million project. So when people say, "Oh, you're only raising 20,000," I'm like, "Well, 20,000 is going to get me this, like it's going to get me this, and then the rest gets me something else." Once I get past those, kind of like the legal things that I need to get through, the investors on the other side waiting to attach certain, I'm literally working with talent. I mean, we're trying to reach, I got a wish list. Like I am trying to bring on Matthew McConaughey because I know that he loves the Redskins. We're targeting directors like Dee Reese. We're looking at, Derek Luke. We're looking at Michael B. Jordan. However, I'm a little questionable with his age, but he's a great actor. So there's a lot of stuff that's kind of brewing in the background. But those little pieces that have to fit in before we start the next. But Dan Snyder does know. He knows
Right.
about the project. I already reached out to him. I haven't reached or touched base with where we are yet, but I'm hoping that we'll be able to. And I think that he will. Use the facilities and other, stuff like that with the Redskins.
So you mentioned a couple of names there, like McConaughey.
We got
Here's
hung
what
up
you
on
do.
by McConaughey's office one time, so we wish you better luck with
Yeah.
him than we had.
we had no luck trying to get him on our podcast. But here's what you do.
Yeah, I don't know about a podcast, but
Yeah, he'll do a movie.
People.
So here's what you should do. Get him to play Dan Snyder, and then Dan Snyder will love you because you have the best looking man in Hollywood playing him.
Well, we have somebody that we want to play Dan Snyder. Jeremy Piven.
Oh, Jeremy Piven. That's actually good. That's a good casting
one.
choice.
Yeah,
Like I like that. He's got the look.
Yeah. So Matthew, I think I actually think that he can play. My other producers are saying, no, he can play Joe Gibbs. He'd love to play Joe Gibbs. Maybe with that accent and stuff.
Well, he might be 20 years too young still.
He what?
He might be too young still to play Joe.
He could. I think he could be a good Greg Williams. And I think Greg Williams' role is
that's
actually,
a nice one.
It's a little bit more extended because, he's more involved with Sean, obviously.
Sure.
Defensive coach. So, but either one, look, look, if he wants, he can play whatever he wants. He will be in the
if he's willing to do it, you let him do what he wants, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about the timeline here. Our audience are not filmmakers. We know it takes a long time, and you're in the beginning stages. So, what are the milestones that we can expect coming up, and when do you think the film could be released?
So if it was a perfect world, I had this conversation with Fred last night when we did we're on Fox 5, and originally I would have loved to have a release November 2021, which is like a year and a half, right, or something like that. But in order for that to happen, that means I should be in pre-production right now, and we're not funded yet, so I can't be, because pre-production is going to take us at least 9 to 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if I get funded by next month, and for the entire production, and we start pre-production in a month and a half or something like that, that will still put us still like close to February, March to shoot. If you shoot, I project that we will shoot for 2 months. Even if we shoot from February to March of next year, which is technically a year from now, which could happen. That's if we're getting funding by next month. Shooting, and then for post-production, it's going to take at least 6 months. I mean, 3 to 4 months is a little short. I don't like to push my editors too hard.
Right.
Depending on, it really depends. So we shoot by that. So that's May, June, July, August, September. So if we're looking for getting ourselves into Sundance, we have to be ready by September. So that's only like 5 months maybe of post-production, which is insanely short. So if that gives you an idea of where we are and what we're looking at, I do not see us doing release in 2021. I wish. I see it more in 2022.
How do you produce a football film in terms of the on-field work and whatnot? Are you going to have NFL advisors working on it? I'm no filmmaker at all. I'm a writer and attorney, so I don't do movies. But that seems to be a really difficult thing to do. And so how do you do that? And is the film going to be more focus on the field, or is the script more focus on the drama that was Sean Taylor's life?
It's more of the drama. I mean, of course, we have to give the fans, a little bit of that. There's some football in there. So we will recreate some of the scenes, but I think it's going to be a mix as far as the script. I know the writer had originally written in to use some of the original tapes that they had in the past. So I don't know how they'll do that. I'm not technical. Like that is directors, editors, and however they want to craft that. I can only look at the overview of the story and say whether that's good or not, and then or I'll just come to redo it. But that's where I come. So when it comes down to the technical part, those are the other people that does that.
Well, I imagine a story like this. The one advantage is you don't have to get too special effects heavy. Although, in a stadium, you're going to have to find extras and things like that to fill up a crowd. But luckily, it's not like you're doing Star Wars here where it's going to be a lot of CGI, hopefully.
No, it won't be like that. I mean, but you can do the special effects by adding the people, making the crowd bigger and stuff like that. So,
sure.
Yeah, and that's what we'll probably end up doing some of that, obviously, for some of the scenes. But And that might be the only really special effect that we would, probably do.
Right.
But no, we won't be heavy in CGI at all. I mean, and the story is focused on, because, everybody knows what he's done. Everybody's seen what he's done. We'll throw some of that to hype it up. But a lot of it is really just, you're really getting deeper into his, in his thoughts, who he was, what he did, just, kind of how he lived and saw things, which is, from what I've learned already, it's pretty incredible. So, we can't wait to share that.
Yeah, well, like Steve said, we talked with Rosenberg, who wrote the biography with Pete. What was that, 5 years ago now that he wrote that or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I know Steven.
And I've read most of it. He had a very deep personal relationships with people that we didn't know about as fans. So.
Yeah. No, I know Steven. I mean, he's partners with Pete, so
right.
He's part of the project.
Now let's talk about Sean a little bit, and you kind of addressed this somewhat up at the top, but Sean's a very complicated person, and I think it'd be really easy to make a movie that's just sort of a fan service movie and gloss over some of the complicated parts of Sean's life and his personality and the things that happened to him. So how complete of a picture are you going to make in terms of the ups and downs that he went through?
I mean, we have to show those. Like it's you can't come into, we had an issue with this too, because it's, when my writer, when I had him sent out, he did all the research and he got very close with everybody as well, right? Like when you get close with somebody, like, I don't want, they become very protective of him, and not to say that I want to take his story and like exploit him, but I want to show them who Sean truly was. I mean, he's not perfect. None of us are perfect. I mean, but he had so much redeeming qualities about him, that that's where you see the story, you begin to love, and you see a huge transformation of Sean as he grew from a child to a teenager to an adult, going into the pros, dealing with the things that he dealt with, and then he did things that that weren't right.
Yeah, I think we all know some of the bad headlines that he had in his early days. Some of them were over inflated, maybe, but like the ATV story, things like that.
Yes, so that too. So and that's and parts of that, those are going to be part of the story to kind of show you what happened. But yeah, no, he doesn't always make good choices. He didn't always do the right thing.
None of us did. I mean, we're humans.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But there are other things about him too. It's like you see, but people as fans, you see this perfect guy. As far as on the football field, he's perfect, right? He doesn't.
Sure.
I mean, he never makes mistakes. But there's that drive, that passion, that hunger, that determination. All of that it shows this perfect athlete. And so what we want to do is show that contrast of, whether what he went through in his life was contributed to that, and seeing also the other side of that imperfect life that he did have, and then you kind of see how he grew up as well.
Now, have you been in touch with Jackie Garcia at all? I know you've connected with Pete and the family. What's Jackie's involvement in this?
Oh yeah, she's been involved. She's been interviewed. She's told her story. We have everything. Jackie, all his friends, his coaches. We sat with Greg Williams. We basically contacted everybody. The only person that we have not been able to, like I said, we still haven't been able to get
Joe Gibbs.
And we'll give him his space. Maybe he'll come around, maybe not. But his perspective is definitely the key in the story, and it's not too late to bring him on board. But in the meantime, I'm not going to focus on that. But the other person is his mom. The only other person we're not able to get at this point is his mom, and I think that her story is pretty key. And once we get funding, I'm definitely going to go back down and try to see if I can get her on board, because he loved his mom despite everything that, all the stuff that he has went through. He absolutely loved his mom.
It does seem like that's always been a more complicated relationship, from at least what we've seen and learned, from folks like you, you and Steve Rosenberg. It seems like that's always a tough one.
Yeah. It's not one that many people know about. So, and she's been a little bit difficult to kind of get to talk to us. So
sure.
And I think you told me earlier that you're still working on getting Joe Gibbs on the record for this.
Yeah, no, I talked with him, and he was so busy with his NASCAR stuff. So he tried to get me on the schedule, and then they came back, and it was weird because I didn't really think that he was going to pick up the phone. He gave me a number, and he said, "Here, call him. Just leave a message. He'll call back." So I called, and he literally picked up the phone, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, I wasn't ready for this. I was just gonna, get ready to leave a message. But I ended up talking with him. He was really nice, and he definitely wants to help, and but he's so busy and incredibly hard to nail down. So we're gonna keep trying, though.
You never get over that as a Redskin fan, right? When you suddenly have a famous coaches, or we've got a couple of players who we've built relationships. Like when you have their number on your cell phone, you're like, oh my god, I'm afraid that this is my cell phone now.
Oh yeah, I showed my husband the number. I when I had it on my phone, I was like, I have Joe Gibbs' number on my phone.
Right.
And he's like, whoa. Like,
don't lose the phone.
Like, I am cool.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay,
no,
so I already know what the number one question from fans who are listening to this is going to be, and it's going to be how do we become extras in this movie?
Right.
Is that going to be possible at some point? Because I know already we're going to
filmmaker dropout from how do I become like a gopher or something for you when you're making the movie?
Well, first of all, help us get us to 20,000.
All right.
And
Everyone, go to Indiegogo. Stop, pause the show, and go to the Indiegogo link on our website for this movie.
So right now, okay, there's two things. So one, anybody that donates right now at the super fan level, which is 100, I will put you in as an extra. Second, I didn't announce it yet. I'm still waiting for my flyer. But tomorrow we're going to do a little bit of a challenge. It's going to be the 21 challenge. And our goal is to get 500 people. So 500 people to donate $20.
Mm-hmm.
21. Sorry. $21. I mean, 500 out of like the thousands of fans. That will hit our mark.
Sure.
Okay, and just to be clear here, folks, when she says tomorrow, she means today, which is the day you're listening to this. So you need to stop and do this right now.
Right, February 26th, when you're listening to this.
Yes. 26. So $21. That's all I need. We need 500 people to donate. That is the lowest level, which is $21 in honor of Sean's number. Right. And we will hit our goal before Friday if we can do that in one day.
Tell you what, let's have a couple people donate 36 because he also donated or wore 36 his rookie years, right? So,
frankly, I think $100 to be an extra is a pretty darn good deal.
No, that's a great
there's
deal.
A lot of all of you guys out there, most of you guys out there can afford this. So help her out and get this done.
I think I see Steve like slowly go on the website as we're talking right now.
I live in Texas, so it's a bit more complicated.
I told Steve, I was like, I need you to prepare. So the challenge starts tomorrow. So we'll launch it, and I'm trying to think of the best time to do it. I don't know, the morning time. I'm a morning person, so I wake up and I'm ready to shoot stuff out. But people don't start getting up and doing anything till later.
Sure.
So.
Listen, we know from running this website that the Twitter universe goes on and on and on all day long. Yeah, so get it up as soon as possible. Hopefully it'll be up by the time you guys hear this.
Yeah. It'll.
You know what? I might do that. I might start it out on Twitter.
Yeah.
Then...
Twitter, IG, social media people are crazy. So.
What else have we not talked about that you would like people to know about this movie?
Right.
I don't know. I think we covered a lot. I mean, like I said, my focus. I can't see past like the next couple of days. So I'm like, my mind is only on, I need to make this goal, get it done.
Right.
And then I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm trying to secure some talent tomorrow. I'm talking to another investor tomorrow. So there's a lot of things brewing. This is the life of a producer. It's pretty insane, especially running it like an indie style, but it's at a, commercial caliber, right?
Sure. Hey, so, all right, what is your social media? How do people find, I mean, obviously, we're going to have the Indiegogo link on our webpage. We'll retweet it a couple times. How can people find you, though, on social media to kind of keep track of what's going on with this project?
Sure. So on Instagram, you can look up the Safety Movie.
The Safety Movie, okay.
So that's pretty easy. Same thing with Facebook. It's the Safety. And I mean, we've been getting followers. Like I think we've been adding like 100 per day. So,
that's great.
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. So the fans are out there. Everyone is supporting. I just need everyone to step up and kind of push us through the finish line at least this first one, and we'll be in really good shape.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I like how persistent you've been, that you've just kept on trying to push this forward, and it sounds like it's going to be a great project. Neardey Trinh, B North Films is your production company, right?
Yes.
Yes, B North Films, The Safety, hopefully coming to a theater near all of us and on Netflix and all those futuristic ways that we are all watching movies now. I'm excited for it. And you know what, everybody? Like I said, go to Indiegogo. Give her money. Movies can't be made for free.
Yeah, it should be great. I think everyone's going to love it. What we're going to do to it is going to be incredible.
Yeah. You know what? Thank you very much for joining us, and we're going to get this out to all of the fans.
Great.
Thanks very much.
For having me.
Great. All right. And